Imagine this. You sit down, determined to finally tackle that important task. A report for work, a chapter of your thesis, or that creative project you've been dreaming about. The deadline is looming, a quiet pressure building. You open your laptop, intentions pure. But then, a thought flickers. I'll just check one thing. That one thing turns into a deep dive into emails, then a video you remembered. Before you know it, you're lost in a sea of social media feeds. The cursor on your blank document just blinks and blinks. An hour goes by, then two. The initial relief curdles into a familiar, sinking feeling of guilt and anxiety. The task hasn't gotten any smaller, but your time and energy have. This is the painful cycle of procrastination, and let's be clear, this isn't a character flaw or laziness. It's a complex, psychological response, a self-preservation instinct gone wrong. It's a universal human experience that ensnares everyone, from students facing exams and artists staring at a blank canvas, to CEOs delaying a difficult decision. It's a silent epidemic of stuck potential. For decades we thought procrastination was a failure of time management. But neuroscience reveals a deeper truth. It's about emotion management. When you face a task that feels overwhelming, boring, or triggers a fear of failure, your brain's limbic system, its emotional core, goes on high alert. Specifically, the amygdala, our ancient threat detector, hijacks your rational mind. It perceives the task as a threat, triggering a fight-or-flight response. Since you can't fight a report, you take flight. Your brain, desperate to escape the discomfort, seeks a quick mood repair, a dopamine hit from the immediate gratification of scrolling or streaming. This creates a vicious loop. You avoid, get a temporary boost, but the stressor remains, now amplified by guilt. Your prefrontal cortex, responsible for planning, is overpowered by the amygdala's urge for immediate relief. So we're trapped in a neurological tug-of-war between our future goals and our brain's immediate demands. It feels like an impossible cycle. But what if you could short-circuit this process? What if you could calm the amygdala and give your rational brain a fighting chance? There isn't a magic wand, but there is a surprisingly simple, science-backed technique to break the spell. It's not about willpower, it's about strategy. A trick so small and immediate, it bypasses your brain's resistance entirely. Here's the breakthrough that cuts through the noise. It's called the 5-minute rule. The premise is deceptively simple. You look at that task you've been avoiding, the one that feels like a mountain, and you make a tiny, almost laughable commitment. Tell yourself, I will only work on this for 5 minutes. And here's the crucial part. You give yourself full permission to stop when the timer goes off. No strings attached. Why does this work? Because the biggest hurdle isn't the work, it's the of the work. Starting is the hardest part because our brain perceives a huge task as a threat, triggering our flight response, procrastination. The 5-minute rule is a psychological loophole. 5 minutes feels harmless, it's too small for your brain to register as a threat, so the alarms of anxiety stay silent. You've bypassed the gatekeeper of your fear. And then something powerful happens. Once you begin, your brain chemistry shifts, it releases a burst of dopamine, the motivation molecule, just for taking action. This creates an on-ramp to focus. You've also engaged the Zeigarnik effect, our mind's innate desire to finish what it has started. Suddenly the resistance melts away, momentum takes over. That initial 5 minutes often stretches into 20, and 20 can effortlessly become an hour of deep work. You're no longer pushing a boulder, you're riding a wave. But here's the real secret. The goal was never to work for an hour, the goal was simply to. By reframing success as just pressing play for 5 minutes, you guarantee a win every time. You're training your brain to associate starting with victory. This is the hidden engine behind peak performers. The CEO using it to tackle a daunting report, the artist committing to just mixing paints. They know the secret isn't superhuman discipline, it's mastering the art of the start. The act of starting flips a switch from resistance to reinforcement. The task shrinks, confidence grows, and fear is replaced by focus. It all begins with one decision. Just 5 minutes. Press start. Think about that novel you've always wanted to write, the one whose characters live vividly in your mind but haven't yet made it to the page. Or the promise you made to yourself to get healthier, to feel the energy of a good workout. Maybe it's the final exam you need to ace, or the business plan that could change your life, currently just a collection of scattered notes. Every single one of these monumental goals, these life-altering ambitions, doesn't begin with a grand, sweeping gesture. They all start with a single, almost laughably small commitment, just 5 minutes. This isn't a trick, it's the key that unlocks the door of inertia, the one that procrastination has bolted shut. We've been told to wait for motivation to strike like lightning, but that's a myth. Motivation isn't a cause, it's a result. It's the reward your brain gives you've started. The real catalyst, the true engine of progress, is action. And when you take that first small action, something incredible happens. You create a tiny feedback loop of success. Action leads to a small win. That win makes you feel good, and your brain craves that feeling, making the next action easier. Action repeats. Habits form. These small wins are like pennies in a jar. One is insignificant, but over time they compound into a fortune of meaningful progress. That 5 minutes of writing becomes a chapter. That 5 minutes on the treadmill becomes a mile. And then you look back, not with regret, but with pride, wondering why you ever hesitated. So the next time that familiar voice of procrastination whispers that the task is too big, that you're too tired, that you'll do it tomorrow, challenge it. Don't argue, just make a deal. A 5-minute deal. Set a timer and begin. That's how you reclaim your power. That's how you beat it forever. Because the great secret that successful people understand is that the journey of 1,000 miles doesn't require a map for all 1,000 miles at once. It just requires taking the first step. The secret isn't about superhuman discipline, it's about the profound, accessible power of simply starting. Don't wait for the perfect moment, it will never come. The moment is now. Your future self is waiting. Start now. Try the 5-minute rule today, and watch your world begin to change. Subscribe for more practical habits.